Happy Tuesday, guys. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. We have a ton to go over today. If you saw my tweet, we have some college baseball, MLB, of course, the play-in games, a little bit of NIT, and of course the whole NBA slate. And all of the questions that you guys have, we are certainly going to answer. That is the priority here. Hopefully we can get a lot of questions in before the pregame, before this play-in tournament starts. Let's take a look back at Monday here. Not too shabby, boys. Not too shabby. This is totally sustainable and will happen again today.
Except Austin Reeves, is he on our RS list or? Perfect day. I think you have to be just.
Well, no, because a perfect day means an 0-6 tonight. So this gives us a chance of having a profitable day.
I refuse the Austin Reeves slander. If you have slander for him, you will be muted and or kicked out of the chat. Thank you. Scott, good question. I am kind of in a closet. I'm at the office. However, there are 9 million things going on at the CBS Sports headquarters right now with March Madness. So we're in a little podcast studio nook, I would call it. Maybe not a cell, guys. Okay, I promise things are going well here. No one worry about me. All right. I see a lot.
Mackenzie hasn't been paid since February 5th, apparently. So maybe things aren't going so well.
Maybe they aren't. But just started the $20 into 500. Again, using 2 of the picks for today. So hopefully maybe I can buy myself out of here. All right. Before we get into that, I don't even know where to begin, guys. There's plenty to go over. Let's start with a little NIT parlay here from Jake. College basketball king. This is about to be heavy hitter on Jake here the next few weeks. So we're going to start it off with a little 2-legger money line parlay for plus money here.
Yeah, I just don't know these teams' motivations come NIT time. A lot of teams opted out, like St. John's opted out. It's a big discussion, but I feel like if you opt in, you're gonna have motivation to try to win it. Both teams are right around -5 on the spread, but we have them winning. We would set the line about -9 and -10. Both of these games, they're very similar games. We have UCF beating USF and the directional Florida school battle, and we like Iowa over Kansas State. We just don't love Kansas State this year. Kansas State scares me, but Iowa has a lot of experienced players who are going to want to go out on top. So I just like this at plus money at plus 112.
Yeah, I guess the NIT can be pretty tough here with motivation, but again, little plus money play that wouldn't hurt anybody. Let's move quickly into a little preview here for the playing games. One coming up right here at 6:40. So any questions for that, we're happy to answer. Howard Wagner here, and then we have Colorado, Virginia later in the day. Let's start here with the first game that we have 2 player props here, Jake. So let's talk about the first game.
Yeah, for the first game, I have an under. Don't love playing unders, but for Wagner, who is it? Who had the player? Julian Brown under 10.5 points on the road away from home this season. The under is 15-3 here. He's coming off a 1-point performance in the championship game against Delaware State. I'm surprised that it is at 10.5. Is lined at 10.5, not 8.5, just because of the road splits. But I was going through the forms that Steven has, and 15-3 really stood out. So he's 5-5 at home, 15-3 away from home, which is pretty crazy.
And at -105, do you think you can still get that price? I know you sent me this earlier today.
That was on DraftKings at -105. And the juice was on the over, which was a little surprising to see here.
Interesting. I will say we don't take many underplays, but when we do, that means we're pretty confident in them. Overall on this game, I know B Mills in the chat is on Howard to cover here. Does the model lean a certain way on this game?
I think we have value on Wagner, but just with not much free, but I don't love anything.
We have a -1 spread instead of -3, so it's nothing to go crazy about.
Yeah. Right. I think I would lean Howard here. It is my dad's name, so I have to go with them.
That was
sound thinking. Sound.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about this Colorado State Virginia game? Any value overall on the spread or the total here?
We like Colorado State here. We have value on the over just because when the lines are this low, we tend to have overvalue. It's rare that we're going to have undervalue when the lines are 121.5. But Virginia, just get ready to watch paint dry for 40 minutes in this game.
Yeah.
If Virginia gets their way, this game's going. If Virginia wins, the total is probably going to be like 110. But
the number is higher because Virginia road games away from home, they allowed 69 points and versus 54 at home. So the average total in UVA away is 130 versus 119 at home. So that's why we have, and with Colorado State's average at 144, that's why we have 133 for total points. Plus, there's hopefully a good chance of an overtime with the spread this close.
But I'd say, if you correct me if I'm wrong, if you do like Virginia to cover here or win, would you probably also, you could parlay maybe Virginia money line with the under? If you're rooting for Virginia, you're basically rooting for an under. Is that logical thinking?
Yeah, I think so. I think when UVA plays well, which they do at home when they're 16-4 straight up, and they win by 65-54 an average score.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll move over here to a prop that we like in this game for Virginia here.
I'm back.
You back?
Yeah, I was having some mic issues, but hopefully that sounds better now.
We got to get you a closet like Mackenzie.
I know. That might be the way to go. But I think I might need to put Joe Flacco here for good luck in my apartment here. But yeah, so Ryan Dunn over 6.5 rebounds with him at 7.3 rebounds. He's slightly better rebounding away from home at 7.3 compared to 6.5 at home. So that's why we have value here at 7.3. And Colorado State isn't a great rebounding team. I think they get out rebounded on average this season.
Mm-hmm. Dare I say we could parlay both of these together for a pretty solid value.
I did that. So if you're in Florida, there's no more prize picks, no more underdog, but there is Dabble. Dabble is still legal. And so if you want to get your player props in, you have to use some of these like Dabble or I think Sleeper is gone too. So I've been using Dabble. They have like some small promos if you put in a small deposit. So I had to get my player prop fix in. And so I went with Dabble.
I've literally never heard of that in my life.
Yeah. Well, so Derek said there's free plays on Underdog. So you could put in plays and then if you win, you're in a pool of people. So it's free entries. It's the old daily fantasy is back with Underdog. Prize Picks is completely gone in Florida. So
how much is Dabble paying you, Jake, for going on and on and on saying Dabble? Dabble, very suspicious about this.
They're raking in it. Every time I say Dabble, I think they pay me like $50. So
yeah.
All right. Well, while we work on that sponsorship deal, we got a lot more to get through here. Let's go to college baseball quick right before we get into the NBA slate for tonight. Steven, I'm kicking you out here. You offer nothing. Okay, let's go to college baseball here. We're going Pepperdine here.
Cal State Northridge under 12.5. Just a chalk play right here. It's just Cal State Northridge. Their games tend to go under at home. So the model really likes the under here. We have this game coming at 10.8 runs. So you're getting over a run of value. These West Coast games, I need to go through all of the the data, but it looks like these West Coast games are tending to go way under compared to the East Coast. So I'll go through some of the Big West and WCC later and see if there's a trend that I could pick out. But I like the under here.
All right. Good stuff. We'll head over to a little money line parlay here with Texas Tech and LSU. Both seem to be heavy favorites, I assume, here for getting minus 140.
Yeah, both teams are coming off bad weekends. Texas Tech just lost to a bad Baylor team. I guess Baylor has improved from last year, but they were really bad last year. And their pitching was really impressive against Texas Tech, and they shut them down. So Texas Tech is more of a bounce-back game. We have slight value in both teams. I like them better than LSU here. LSU's playing a lot of Tech, but LSU lost a series at Mississippi State. They're back home against an in-state rival, I guess. I'm not sure if you could consider a lot of Tech a rival, but still an in-state showdown. So, and they need a win. So parlaying these two at -141. Both teams who need a win.
Mm-hmm. Steven, we treat our staff like veal. Sorry, I'm super paying attention. All right. Love to see that. We got college baseball. We got a few more college baseball plays as well, if I could find them, even though I made them myself. Here we go. Miami, -2.5 run line.
Yeah, so this is on Hard Rock at -2.5 at -130 compared to -3.5, -115 on DraftKings. And we have Miami winning like 80% in the model. We just like them at home a lot better. They're playing FIU, which is another team from Miami, so it's not much travel. But Miami should have the home field advantage in terms of fans. I think Miami's offense has been really good. It just depends what they do with their midweek pitching, but I like Miami to win by 4 or 5 runs here.
Midweek pitching, tricky. It's midweek where we're taking unders as well, right?
Midweek unders have it's interesting because the lines are a lot lower today than they have been. So while midweek unders have been a trend so far, the lines are starting to adjust. So I've gone with some overs, some unders. It's just depending on the line.
We hate to see Vegas catching up. Hate to see it. All right.
Yes,
fair enough.
The game is today.
Yeah. And then we got one more money line play here with LBSU.
Long Beach State versus USC. Rocking with Long Beach State at home. They're 9-1-1 at home this year. Yes, they have had one tie because there are some travel restrictions on Sunday, so you will see some ties in college baseball, unlike any other college sports. But they're playing against USC, who is really bad on the road and at neutral sites this year. I think they're like combined 3-9 away from home this year. So the model really heavily factors that in, that USC is bad away from home and Long Beach State has been good at home. So we have Long Beach State at around -160 in the model, so you're getting some good value at -140.
Dang. Home and away splits. That's the trend of March here. Talking about March Madness here as well. Big part of our March Madness bracket and model as well. All right, we do have some MLB to get through. We're going to save that for the end because I know we got a lot of NBA heads in here ready to head over to the model. Head over to the masterminds here. We got a prop for just about every game here. I want to skip quick to the Knicks game because everyone in the chat seems to be big on Josh Hart here. That guy has not come off the court in probably a month at all. So I see some people who like Josh Hart over 15.5 rebounds and assists here. Do we like that?
He's not playing tonight, is he?
Oh, would he not?
I think that was just yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
No, just yesterday. Yeah, we're just talking about yesterday.
Just talking about how he cashed for us.
Yeah.
Unlike Austin Reeves. No.
Yeah. No, like on Fridays when I made a bet that he would get a triple-double.
I know, and then yesterday as a triple-double. And yesterday was +2,000, which was probably a better indication that he was more likely to get it yesterday compared to.
And I was about to do it, but I was out last night, unfortunately, with a bunch of raging, partying tech people.
Mm-hmm. All right. My bad, guys. Let's move on to games that are indeed happening tonight. We'll start with Houston heading to Washington. Major steam to Houston from the public here. Kind of an ugly game. This is an ugly slate in general, but we are going to find the value here. Jabari Smith, he was also part of my 20 into 500. So let's talk about him here.
Yeah. First of all, we should praise you more, Mackenzie, for that. Even while you didn't hit 500, you hit whatever, like 300. That's damn good. Jabari Smith over 1.5 made threes. I saw plus money. It was like plus 108 this morning. I saw it -103 an hour ago. Now it seems to be back at plus 100, plus 102. So try to get the plus money while you can. I am fading a season over road trend because I figure with no Şengün, the season trends don't really apply because without him, all the 4 other normal starters are pretty much getting more shots. Washington's already a bad team when healthy. Koulibaly and a bunch of other front court players, in addition to Kyle Kuzma, might be out. So even though, the defense of Washington may not be necessarily worse with their backups in, their scoring, their offense is definitely kind of hindered. And so that helps Jabari Smith maybe save some energy on the defensive end and shoot better on offense.
Music to my ears. That's all I want to hear. I got a few questions about this game here. Jalen Green, his point total set at 24.5.
We're only projecting 22.5. I think that sounds low to me, but it's because his recent games, 3 and 4 games ago, he was only 5 for 16, 6 for 15. So that's probably bringing him down. You see a lot of well under 25, under 20s sandwich with big games. So, I think that's why the model is kind of splitting the difference. The player on Houston that we all seem to like is Jock Landale, who, had 2 big games in a row. Didn't do as much to the last game, but they were up by 14. I didn't see game flow wise if he was needed. He didn't play as many minutes. But assuming that he plays 20-something plus minutes, we like over 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists for him.
Mm-hmm. All right. I like that there too. I think there's a question on Dylan Brooks here as well. I actually looked into him myself today. I think his prop line, I think his point total is 13.5. We can get him over 1.5 made threes. I don't know what the juice is on that.
Yeah, we do have the model value. I think Brooks does average more threes on the road than at home, I believe, if I could verify that in a second. I would like that for many of the same reasons as I like Jabari Smith, because I was on him do over 1.5 last week. Sorry guys, this is my annoying Jake Fettner request that requires me to press more buttons.
You love it.
No, so actually, so his average is the same road and home, but his over is 17 and 13 is a better percentage over, and he's hit 3 on 3 of his last 4, so that's a pretty good little stretch.
All right, I don't hate that at all. Let's move on here. We'll go to Charlotte, headed to Orlando. Orlando 13.5 point favorites now. A lot of steam on them. Actually have something to play for, probably more so than Charlotte here, but some player props we like.
Yeah, I like Franz Wagner here. A really good plus money, and this is I was excited to see it actually gained money. I think it was like 106 or 108 earlier. Now I saw it at plus 114. Just out of curiosity. The odds jam board. Let me see if that's holding. 112. So maybe you want to act before you lose it a little bit. So I'm buying low on his last 7. He's under 3 assists, and historically versus Charlotte last 2 seasons, not much. So that might explain why there's such good plus money and over 3.5. But I like overall it is 17 and 14 on the road with a healthy 3.9 average. And forwards who averaged 3.5 to 4 assists this year averaged 4.2 versus Charlotte. So these players, let's say, conservatively average around 3.7. They're averaging half assists more versus Charlotte, and 11-5 over. Yeah,
that's a strong stat. That's what I like. That got me to use that and the Jabari Smith as my 2 plays for the 20 to 500. See, question about Trayman in the chat. Jake answered that. How about Wagner's just points here at 18.5?
I'm worried about this game getting out of hand, but we are projecting 19 points in just 32 minutes, so that seems doable. Yeah, he's played. He looks like he's shooting well the last few games.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about on the other side of the ball then with Miles Bridges over 19.5? I don't see him getting, or maybe they're getting blown out so bad that he does sit.
We have the exact same projection. We have 19.7, so we definitely would go with it. He's had 2 down games, but not from not trying. He's getting plenty of field goal attempts and plenty of minutes. So I like that. Orlando's defense, I think, is a lot better at home. They have some really terrific splits, especially against the spread. And they defend the 3 well, road and home, but particularly well at home.
All right. Move on here. We'll head over to New Orleans, headed to Brooklyn. New Orleans about 7.5 point favorites here. Brooklyn I can't figure them out. Respect to you for taking a play on Brooklyn here.
Yeah, I mean, it's only because I think the line, so that, this team total 103.5 is actually 103.5 minus 120 this morning, down to 102.5 minus 120 an hour ago. Now I only see 103.5 back. So I don't think it's going to go above 103.5. So maybe wait and see if you can get it back down to 102.5. I think every point counts. The model's at 109. So Brooklyn does average 4 more points at home than they do on the road for the season. The line is depressed because, their scoring's way down, and a lot of scoring overall in the NBA is down since the All-Star break. I guess the refs are refereeing things more, not calling certain fouls as frequently, but I don't think that impacts a team like Brooklyn as much. They're more about whether their shots are falling. I also like the fact that New Orleans could blow them out, and if so, maybe they'll get more of a shootout as opposed to a defensive struggle. But 103.5 is just too low. If you go on the season trend, the over is 25-9 in Brooklyn home games.
Okay. I like to hear that. A couple questions about this game here. A lot of eyes on Zion here. Looks like his PRA is 37.5.
Yeah, we're only checking 34.7. So, he's been getting a lot of, shots. And, he could do a lot of damage. Again, I'm thinking this could be a game where it could get out of hand. And maybe Zion won't get the minutes. I'd be scared to bet the under.
Yes, fair. All right. What about CJ here with some turnovers? If Brooklyn's
1.5 under turnovers or over turnovers? Let's see if
over.
What we have is we'd like over 1.5 turnovers. Not a strong play. Basically, these are sorted in the strength of the play. That's how I find my picks. I look for the top lines, see if I like it based on the player and the matchup, and then I check odds jam to make sure I can get the best price. But McCollum, we like the over, just not love it.
Right. Doesn't get any more behind the scenes than this. That is for sure. I think there was one more question. B Mills asking about Dennis Schroeder here. Bold move. He is on my mega S list.
Well, yeah, this is. I'm assuming that I'm banking on him continuing to play major minutes. He's been right around 35 going back to the month of March.
Maybe I should have totally just started off round 2 of this journey with
giving an opportunity to make it up.
That would have been really cool circle.
Interesting. So we like it, but we are projecting. I am liking the team total. So if you don't like the team total pick, if you think the 103.5 is a more accurate projection than the 109, then you should devalue these numbers accordingly. And, that's why we have 1.5 points of value for Schroeder. We wouldn't have it if you think they're only going to score 103.
Right. All right. Well, let's move on here. We'll go to Dallas going to San Antonio. I know a lot of people have questions about Wemby. Scott always looking at those blocks and steals here. Some questions all around about him. So just in general, do we have any value on him?
No. And I mentioned this in the chat. Like, I think the model that I built this model and programmed it to try to do as good a job for as many players as possible. But there's a reason why they call him a unicorn, the greatest prospect ever. He's doing things that I wouldn't be surprised. I have some code, the bulk of which was coded in 2013. Saying that if a guy gets this many assists or rebounds and doesn't have at least a sample size of X, then it's probably an extreme that you want to assume that he can't sustain. So again, I haven't dug into the code in years, but maybe that's the case here because I could imagine myself putting that in back in 2013 because it's too high. So I wouldn't put stock in the model unders for Wembanyama's, especially his blocks and steals.
Okay, fair enough. I see some questions here about Kyrie Irving. Erica in the chat says Kyrie over 4.5 assists is the lock of the night. I don't know.
4.5 at 5.2 assists. Yeah.
All right,
he's been 10, 12, and 9 those last 3 games. Looks like a nice trend. Plus, he had that killer left-handed game winner.
Love to see that. And then one more quick question.
And we lost. I forgot this, but I didn't hit a Kyrie over the first day of Ramadan. But the logic back then was his assists during Ramadan actually go up every year for the last 3 seasons. So that seems to be the case again. Unfortunately, I think played this game, if I'm not correct, if I remember correctly, I had over 3.5 assists and he had 1. But since then,
I think the thing
was he
averages 5.9 assists during Ramadan compared to 4.5 not during Ramadan.
I should have maybe the first day of Ramadan he does a bad job, and I blame Derek for that because that should have been obviously in the research.
Yeah, come on, Derek.
Let's go quick. Trey Jones here. His rebounds and assist line is 11.
We are projecting 9.9.
What's our rebound?
Only 28 minutes, and that could be a low minute projection considering he's been back over 30 since March for the last 5 games. So he went through a dip where he played less than 25 minutes back-to-back games. And so that kind of resulted in this sub 30-minute projection. So if you like him to play 35 minutes, then I would like over in those 2 stats.
Right. All right, let's move on to one more game we have some value on here with Denver playing Minnesota. I believe the 2 of them are playing each other a lot the next few days. Few weeks.
Yeah, so we have model value. The steam is way on Denver, so that's probably assuming that most people assume that Gobert and even Anthony Edwards after that vicious dunk and Naz Reid might all be out based on a 4-point line move and how good Minnesota's been at home to be 8-point underdogs to anybody, even the defending champs, is too much. So the model would have a similar line if we ruled out Edwards and Gobert. So don't put much stock in the model's main market picks. So I'm going to go to the other side. Aaron Gordon. This was at plus 175 for most of the day. It just radically shifted down to 155 in the last hour. Model has 0.62 because on the road he averages 3 times as many blocks as at home, and the over is 18 and 15. So there's a lot of trends that indicate that this should be an even money bet and not a plus 155 earlier plus 175. The reason why his bet so low is because he had a 7-game stretch without a block, which is hard to do when you're as big and athletic as he is. But he snapped that trend, with 1. And his uncle installed my cable TV back in 2010. So that counts for something. Or whenever he was coming out of high school. Power forwards who average 1.5 to 1 block average 1.8 at Minnesota with a 500 over versus just 0.5 versus Minnesota at home. Not sure why. But these players also are 5-1 with at least 1 block in the last 6 games versus Minnesota.
It is value. I will give you that. I almost made this, just put all 20 on this play, but
it's a 50-50 prop that's paying off it way more than 50-50.
Yes, 100%. Certainly worth sprinkling some money on. All right. I think that's all we're going to do for the NBA. If people have questions about the Pacers Detroit game, feel free to ask us in the chat. We just didn't have anything we love personally. So we're going to head over to some MLB picks with Jake. Can't believe we're already doing this here, but it is about that time. Let's head on over here. Let's start with the good old home run prop here with Mookie Betts plus 400. God, I missed these.
Yeah, so we don't have a ton of value on anyone to hit a home run. I know we have Mookie at plus 355 in the model. We have Shohei at plus 255, but those are pretty much right where the lines are. But most books have Mookie around plus 370, plus 350. But on DK, he was at plus 400. And you're just getting a slight value. But he doesn't have great success in his career against Yu Darvish, only 1 home run, but he is due. And maybe this being in Korea with a lot of eyes on this game, even though it's at 6 a.m. Eastern, maybe it'll get him fired up for the first game of the season. So the best value is on Mookie at home run of every player.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on.
We don't have any value on stolen bases, but if you were to play stolen base, we would recommend Ha-Sung Kim for San Diego at plus 350 on DraftKings. There's no value there. We have him right around plus 400, but he is the most likely to get a stolen base, and Glasnow has been susceptible to some stolen bases in his career.
Mm-hmm. All right, this is unlocking all types of gears in my brain talking about all these MLB plays. Let's move on. We have 2, I guess, what do you want to call it? Hitting props for plus money here, which is pretty good value.
Yeah, I'm fading 2 players here. Graham Pauley, who's making his MLB debut. He's going straight from AA to the major leagues and going with under half a hit at plus 120. He's facing a really good pitcher in Tyler Glasnow. I like Pauley. He was good at Duke. He's a solid player, but it's not an easy first matchup. And he could possibly be pinch hit for in this game if he doesn't look good in his first couple at bats, and maybe matchup dependent as well.
Okay. Looks like we're fading another player here. Is this also somebody making their debut, or do I just
no? Profar he's like a 10-year, 12-year veteran. He's been in the league for a while, but he is going to hit probably ninth, most likely going to hit ninth in the order. So he's not going to get as many at-bats, especially if Glasnow looks like he did in his last spring training game. And he's also a guy situationally could get pinch hit for. We have him in the Sims at getting a hit 0.55, so around we had set this line for pretty much even. So you're getting some good value at plus 115 for him not to get a hit. The goal is for at least one of these players not to get a hit and end up with plus money.
Yeah, definitely worth taking all of them, maybe all three here. And speaking of, we'll pull up the recap screen. Beautiful 4-quad recap screen, if I will. NBA, MLB, college basketball, and college baseball. Things are only going to get better from here, more chaotic, lots and lots to go over, and we have answers for all of it. Do our best in the chat to get to you guys as well. So with that said, take your screenshots, do what you have to do with this. We're getting very, very close to Thursday. We'll have some awesome live betting opportunities there as well. So as always, reach out to us with your questions. Tell your friends who also want to get into this to come watch as well. We love to have everyone in the chat, and we will see you guys tomorrow.